टू स्टॉकोलॉजिस्ट। सो आज हम आपके लिए लेके आए हैं एनालिसिस ऑफ यूनियन बजट ऑफ इंडिया फॉर फाइनेंशियल ईयर 2022-2023। बजट इज़ अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इवेंट फॉर एनी इन्वेस्टर, एनी ट्रेडर, बिकॉज बजट को देख के आपको एक आइडिया लगता है कि गवर्नमेंट किन सेक्टर्स पे, कौन से थीम्स पे फोकस कर रही है। सो दिस विल गिव यू एन आउटलुक कि नेक्स्ट ईयर किस सेक्टर्स में मोमेंटम होगा। सो इट बिकम्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू स्टडी द बजट्स इन डिटेल। सो हम आपके लिए ये वीडियो लेके आए हैं। इन दिस वीडियो विल ट्राई एंड आइडेंटिफाई कौन से सेक्टर्स हैं, कौन से थीम्स हैं जिसको हम फोकस कर सकते हैं फॉर अपकमिंग ईयर। माइंड यू, दिस इज गोइंग टू बी अ सीरीज ऑफ वीडियो। जो सेक्टर्स हम इस वीडियो में आइडेंटिफाई करेंगे उनको हम एलेबरेटली कवर करेंगे हमारे अपकमिंग वीडियोज़ में, जहाँ पे ईच सेक्टर्स को हम इंडिविजुअली डिस्कस करेंगे in terms of what benefit they have in this budget, how it is going to boost the particular sector, और कौन सी companies और stocks हैं जिनको हम रडार में रख सकते हैं जहाँ पे हमें momentum दिख सकता है। So let's get started. So basically budget जो होता है वो basically एक document होता है जिसमें government ये दिखाती है कि हमने क्या किया as compared to our expectations, what we have performed in the last financial year, and what are we planning for the next upcoming financial year. So through the budget, the government normally tries to revive the economy or to boost the economy. So for that, there are basically two types of budget which government can come up with. अगर हम broader categories की बात करें तो, the first one that we know is bottom up budget. The second one is top down budget. So let's discuss them individually. So under bottom up budget, basically government जो try करती है, it is to focus on rising the disposable income of consumers. So government will try to inculcate such kind of incentives in budget कि जिससे कोई भी एक private individual consumer का disposable income बढ़े. So with the rise in the income disposable income of consumer, naturally उसका spending बढ़ेगा, so that will boost the demands. Since the demand is on a higher side, to match those demands, the production will increase. The production for final goods will increase, and that will again increase the demand for capital goods. So with the rise in the production of both the final goods and the capital goods, there will be more job opportunities and higher income, and again the cycle repeats. The second type of budget that the government can come up with is top-down budget, when the government takes the central role. So government increase its spending capital expenditures to increase the production both for capital goods as well as the finished goods. So basically through the budget, the government will try to increase its spending in industries and sectors जिसके कारण वहाँ का production boost हो. Now naturally with the rise in the government spending, the private investment will also increase in those sectors, जिसके कारण there will be more jobs and income in those sectors, and with the rise in the jobs and income, the disposable income of an individual will increase, which will again rise the spending and hence the growth. So again the cycle repeats. So for this year, the government has come up with a top-down budget wherein the government is not giving any relief to individual consumers, but rather than that, the government is focusing on giving more reliefs and more spendings to industrial sectors. So looking at the current scenarios, जो अभी scenarios हैं, what we have gone through in the past years in terms of pandemic and rising inflation, I think government has taken a right step to come up with a budget wherein they have taken a central role to increase the spending in different sectors and hence boost the economy and control the inflation at the same time. Now, based on the budgets, we will not go into the nitty-gritties of what the government has performed, what are the numbers, what are the figures. Rather than that, we will try and focus कि कौन से sectors में government ने क्या incentives दिए हैं, when which are the sectors which we should be focusing. So let's look into that. So these are the key themes and sectors जो हमें लगता है कि with this budget will have a momentum in upcoming year. So the sectors that we have identified are infrastructure and capital goods, defense, e-vehicles and clean energy, telecom and internet connectivity, pipes and fittings, gems and jewellery, and fisheries. So let's discuss each of them individually. Also हम इस हर एक सेक्टर पे एक इंडिविजुअल वीडियोस भी बनाएंगे जहाँ पे हम डिस्कस करेंगे द एंटायर इफेक्ट ऑफ द बजट एंड स्टॉक्स जो हम फोकस कर सकते हैं एज वेल एज द कंपनीज जो मैक्सिमम बेनिफिट लेंगी अकॉर्डिंग टू अस विद दिस बजट अनाउंसमेंट. सो लेट्स स्टार्ट विद इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर एंड कैपिटल गुड्स. सो इस बजट में गवर्नमेंट ने अनाउंस किया है कि दे आर गोइंग टू इंक्रीज देयर कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर फ्रॉम 4.54 lakh crores to 7.50 lakh crores, which is going to be a rise of 35.4% as compared to the last year. So it is a very significant increase. in terms of capital expenditure. So normally capital expenditure बढ़ने से the government is focusing in terms of infrastructure building. So government will focus more on increasing number of roads, railways, transportations, machineries, MSME industry को बहुत ही boost करेंगे. So this will increase the demand for capital goods. So in capital goods in terms of metals, steels, consumer construction equipments, cements. So all these sectors will have a momentum due to this particular increase in capital expenditure by the government. सेकेंडली बजट में हमने देखा है कि बहुत बार पीएम गति शक्ति की बात हुई है. सो दिस इज़ वेरी बिग अनाउंसमेंट. दिस इज़ समथिंग दैट थ्रू दिस गवर्नमेंट इज़ ऑल्सो इंटीग्रेटिंग द नेशनल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पाइपलाइन. So let me elaborate on this. Basically PM Gati Shakti mein it's a multi-modal connectivity program wherein government has made a master national plan to bring down the logistic cost in India. So overall logistic का जो खर्चा है इंडिया में जो cost बैठता है, government is trying to reduce that through PM Gati Shakti, wherein they are trying to integrate 16 ministries to develop an infrastructure through 7 engines, which are basically rail, road, waterways, airports, ports, mass transportation, as well as logistic infrastructures. So with this they are going to build connected multimodal connected terminals, railways, logistic terminals, cargo terminals. So in this case they have made some announcements which are noteworthy. Firstly, they have national highway networks wherein they are going to expand it by 25,000 kilometer with mobilization of a capital funding of 20,000 crore. So this is a big announcement. So all the companies who are into infrastructure building, construction equipment companies, cement companies, steel companies will, due to this announcement, I think next year there will be an improvement in terms of their top line figures. Their revenues will increase due to this particular announcement. Multimodal logistic parks are going to be set up at 4 different locations through PPP model. The contracts will be awarded in year 2020-23. 100 PM Gati Shakti cargo terminals are going to build in the next 3 years. 400 new generation of Vande Bharat trains are to be manufactured in next 3 years. So with all this announcement, the government clearly is giving an indication कि जहाँ पे वो infrastructure और capital goods में focus करने वाली है. So again, I'm repeating, companies who are into cement, steels, metals, are construction equipments, construction materials, engineering equipments are going to have a big boost due to this particular announcement. The second sector that we have identified is defense. Now, what the government has announced in the budget for defense sector, let's discuss that. So government has said that 68% of their capital procurement budget in the defense will be earmarked for domestic industry in the financial year 2022 to 2023, which is going to be a massive increase of 58% as compared to the last financial year. So this is going to give a big boost to the local defense manufacturing private companies. So definitely the defense local defense OEMs will have a bigger boost in terms of their top line figures. Their revenues are going to increase in the upcoming years since the government is going to do a lot of capital funding in the upcoming year. Also, the defense R&D has been opened up for the local industry, startups, as well as academias, wherein 25% of the defense R&D budget is earmarked for the domestic industry. So again, local companies who are into defense R&Ds will have a big boost in the upcoming years. Also, there is a specific announcement for drone sector wherein Drone Shakti will facilitate drone as a service. So all the startups will be promoted who are working on Drone Shakti. So again, drone manufacturing companies, the supply chain, the entire supply chain of drone industry will have a big boost in upcoming years. The third sector that we have identified is e-vehicles and clean energy. So in this case, the government has announced the big thing, which is the battery swapping policy. So basically, currently to shift from conventional vehicles to electric vehicles, the biggest challenge the government is facing is infrastructure, charging infrastructure. And it is a very time-taking process to build the infrastructure for charging. So to expedite that particular process, government has come up with a battery swapping policy. So under battery swapping policy, government क्या करने वाली है? Basically, government is going to allow you that you can shift your used batteries with a new one. You can replace your used batteries with a new one. So there will be stations which will be providing you batteries, already charged batteries, which you can be directly changed with your existing batteries. And the standard of batteries are going to be same among all electric vehicles. That is also, the government has announced that the standards for interoperability will be same among all electric vehicles. सो जस्ट टू गिव यू एन एग्जाम्पल, अगर हम बात करें जैसे हम कोई भी टीवी के रिमोट्स में या कोई भी रिमोट्स में जैसे बैटरी चेंज करते हैं यूज बैटरीज को, लाइकवाइज वी विल बी एबल टू डू दैट इन नॉर्मल इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स एज वेल. सो दैट्स व्हाट द गवर्नमेंट इज एनविसेजिंग फॉर नाउ. ऑल्सो गवर्नमेंट ने 19,500 करोड़ का एडिशनल एलोकेशन दिया है फॉर PLI स्कीम फॉर सोलर मॉड्यूल्स. सो दैट इज अगेन गोइंग टू बूस्ट द सोलर मॉड्यूल मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर. तो उन कंपनियों में रेवेन्यू का बूस्ट होगा इन द नेक्स्ट अपकमिंग ईयर. ऑल्सो द अनब्लेंडेड फ्यूल्स will attract an additional differential excise duty of ₹2 per liter starting from 1st October 2022. So this is to encourage blending of fuel. Now with encouraging of blending of fuel, I think ethanol sector में boost आएगा. Again ethanol sector का जो boost आएगा, which again is going to impact the sugar manufacturing companies also. So in those sectors में हमें अब next year में momentum दिखना चाहिए. फोर्थ सेक्टर जो हम डिस्कस करने वाले हैं इज टेलीकॉम एंड इंटरनेट कनेक्टिविटी. सो गवर्नमेंट इन दिस बजट हैज अनाउंस्ड दैट दे आर गोइंग टू do the auction for 5G spectrum in the upcoming financial year. And for the same sector, the government is also planning a product linked incentive scheme for design led manufacturing so that they can build a strong ecosystem for the 5G network. Then we have BharatNet project, under which government has given the contracts for optical fibers, which it will be going to be handed over under a PPP model. So clearly from here we can understand that the companies who are into telecom sector, the telecom service providers, as well as telecom providers, telecom part manufacturers, as well as telecom equipment manufacturers will have a boost with the upcoming 5G spectrum. And also on the optical fiber network, the cable and fiber companies who are predominantly focusing on optical fibers will have a big boost in the upcoming year. The next sector that we have identified is pipes and fittings. Now last year the government has announced Har Ghar Nal Se Jal Yojana, under which this year the government has given a 60,000 crore allocation to cover 3.8 crore households. Now this is going to boost the demand for pipes and fittings in the respective households. So naturally the companies who are into pipes and fittings will have a rise in demand, which will increase their top line figures in the next year. Also the government has given an allocation of 48,000 crores for completion of 80 lakh houses in this financial year under the PM Awas Yojana. So that is again going to give a boost to the pipes and fitting industry. The next sector that we have identified is gems and jewellery. So इसमें government ने basically बहुत सारे tariff incentives provide किए हैं. Government has provided a lot many tariff incentives for the sectors, gems and jewellery, to boost the gems and jewellery sector. So government has reduced the custom duty on cut and polished diamonds and gemstones to 5%. For swan diamonds, they have reduced the custom duties to nil. Now this is to boost the customs and this is to boost the gems and jewellery sector, but this is a two-edged sword. यहाँ पे since the custom duties have been reduced, there will be more of imports for the raw material in terms of cut and polished diamonds as well as shone diamonds. So the local manufacturers will have a hit on this, but the finished good manufacturers in terms of जो finished jewelleries बना रहे हैं या gems बना रहे हैं will have a higher advantage, because for them their input cost has been reduced because the tariff reduction is there, which will improve their operating margins, and that will again try help the particular sector in terms of boosting their bottom line figures, their cash flows also. So ज़्यादा liquidity आएगी in terms of gems and jewellery sector. Custom duties, government ने plan किया है कि they are going to come up with a custom duty of 400 rupees per kg on imitation jewellery. So basically ये de-incentivize कर रहे हैं imitation jewellery imports को, so that more of local manufacturing for imitation jewellery is developed in India, and the demand for the same is matched by the local manufacturers. Also, the government is planning to come up with a simplified regulatory framework कि जिससे finished gems and jewelry sector can easily export the jewelries through e-commerce. So again, this is going to improve their top line figures. This will boost their export revenues, hence the top lines, and you can see improvements in their performance in coming years. And lastly, the sector that we have identified is fisheries, because again इसमें government ने tariff concessions दिए हैं. Government is planning to reduce the custom duties on certain inputs required for shrimp aquaculture. So basically shrimp aquaculture में जो raw materials लगते हैं to develop the shrimp aquaculture, उन raw materials पे the government is planning to reduce the custom duty. So again, this will reduce the input raw material cost for companies who are focusing or who are into shrimp aquacultures. उनके लिए operating cost reduce होगा due to the reduction in the cost of their raw materials, and operating margins, their EBITDAs will improve, and that will again improve their bottom line figures, and hence we can see an improvement in their cash flows in the next upcoming years. So that's all for today, guys. Thank you for watching this video. If you like our content, do like, share and subscribe. Stay tuned for the upcoming videos for each of the sectors wherein we'll be helping you with which stocks to focus and किन stocks को आपको radar में रखना चाहिए. Once again, thank you very much for your time. Goodbye.